Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar, starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago. During the May Day 2026 observances at Harris Promenade, San Fernando, Ancel Roget, President General of the Oilfields Workers Trade Union, OWTU, delivered a pointed critique directed at, not the government, People's National Movement and former Energy Minister Stuart Young, Zami Young. Roget accused the opposition of actively undermining state-led initiatives to restart the Pointe-a-Pierre refinery, a facility he deems vital for Trinidad and Tobago's economic stability and foreign exchange security. He said, by framing the PNM's recent actions as a threat to national progress, Roget positioned the OWTU as a steadfast protector of industrial revitalization while simultaneously blaming Young's past ministerial decisions for the socio-economic hardships that followed the refinery's closure in 2018. And besides that is his recent actions as well, going to Venezuela to meet Delcy. When in fact you know that the government needs to have diplomatic meetings with Venezuela pertaining to the dragon gas deal. You basically was showing the entire world that you have no respect for the Prime Minister and her government officials and making it look as though it's only through you, as though you are some kind of majestic, mighty Morphin Ghana Yam mediator that can be able to achieve that deal for Trinidad and Tobago. And you are not a member of the government, so therefore what exactly were you trying to do and what message you were trying to convey to the rest of the world and to Venezuela as well? What was your actual motive, Zami Young? So it's more than just what he did in the past. It's what he continues to do and what the PNM continues to do. And by number one, continuing to sympathize with the communists within our region, including Delcy Rodriguez and her regime, the temporary regime. She's just an interim president. But also, now going further than that, and Zami Young, I don't know if it was approved by the opposition leader for him to do that. It doesn't appear to be so. Going and visiting the government official and then putting a hashtag that was an insult to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago in the post where he showed that he was shaking hands with President Delcy Rodriguez, saying persona non grata. We all know what Zami Young was really trying to do there, trying to take credit in the first place. He just loves to take credit for everything. And also sending a message that he's the only one that could probably get the dragon gas deal done.
We saw where Stuart Young would have, in another installment, attempted to undermine the government, undermine the ministry and the ministers of energy by going to Venezuela and paying a visit with the Venezuelan acting president. That's what I want Stuart Young. If it is, that is your position or your ambition to become political leader and have a fight with Penny Beckles and to whatever your ambitions are, leave the government alone to conduct the business in the interest of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Do not undermine this government. Every single day, his effort is to try to obstruct his political leader, but that's not my business, that's a matter for her. But insofar as undermining the country and undermining the government of Trinidad and Tobago, we will have a lot to say. In fact, we are prepared to mount a physical campaign on the road against Stuart Young and anyone who try to undermine this government as this government move to ensure progress and wealth for all of the people of Trinidad. I'm confident that notwithstanding the length of time that those assets were out of service, I am very confident that we can put it back into service. Of course, it will take some doing, but when that happens, and while we are in the process of restarting it, refurbishment and so on, it's thousands of jobs. Over 4,000 people will be employed. Scaffolders, riggers, and so on, welders, fabricators, mechanics, electricians, and so on, technicians, you name it. Laborers, skilled, semi-skilled workers, will be employed, lucrative employment. And that is what we are about, putting people back to work. What the PNM is about, taking away jobs from people, shutting down that a very important state asset. And
the government has strongly challenged opposition leader Penelope Beckel's self-assessment of her first term leading the opposition People's National Movement. A very mediocre performance in my opinion. Definitely not a Keith Rowley type of leader. She's following in his footsteps, but not a Keith Rowley. Respond and not impressive in any way whatsoever as an opposition leader, even as a PNM opposition leader. Responding to Guardian Media yesterday, or Kakash Media, several government ministers rejected Beckel's 6 out of 10 rating of a party's performance over the last year. Double the score she gave to Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar. My response, which predicts what a PNM patriot will say after reading this news article that would have been insulting to the blasphemous to the People's National Movement. I said, by the powers of the mighty morphin Ghana yam, penny will prevail, no matter what the yellows say. In 2030, the backbone of our economy, CPEP, not Petro-Trinidad, in the minds of PNM patriots, CPEP is the backbone, and URP are the backbones, or is the backbone of our economy. So in 2030, the backbone of our economy, CPEP, will be reopened, and we will finally cultivate Emperor Rowley's yam seeds, which will feed the nation and reduce our import bill. And that's not something I'm making up, people. That's exactly what the mighty Rowley said, that the Ghana yam was going to be able to reduce our import bill. We would not need to have to be importing so much different foreign products anymore because we had yam. And then people want to know why I continue speaking about it. We must always understand that the great Wakandans own this land, who belong to the PNM, and the rest of us are simply just shown mercy to remain here to serve and honor them. They make that very clear, though. They make that very clear. Bear in mind, it's not the whole population of the Afro population that thinks that way. But you see those very, very, very fanatic PNM base members of that party, they do believe that Trinidad and Tobago belongs to them. And individuals like myself who are mixed, individuals who are East Indian, individuals who are Chinese, individuals who are white here in Trinidad and Tobago are only remaining here because they're showing us grace. They're doing us a favor. We were born here just like they were. And yet in their minds, everything we have belongs actually to them, and they're just doing us a favor by allowing us to keep it. And that's why a lot of the times when you see robberies taking place, a lot of these individuals, that type of concept was instilled into their minds from children, and they believe that they are actually taking back what belongs to them. I tell you, it's demonic. The PNM was founded on very evil concepts, very prejudiced concepts, because we are all equal. Trinidad and Tobago belongs to all of us. It doesn't belong to mixed people like myself alone. It doesn't belong to East Indians alone. It doesn't belong to the Africans alone either. It belongs to each and every one of us. And that's something that the PNM patriots, I'm not talking about all either. There are a lot of PNM people, the normal ones that don't think like that either. We are talking about the PNM patriots, especially the elders, those that are in their 60s and 70s and 80s. You see, those generations that actually grew up under Eric Williams, those individuals are extremely prejudiced. And they in fact believe that Trinidad and Tobago belongs to them.
Weather report for Trinidad and Tobago on Saturday, May 2, 2026. Saturday will be fair to partly cloudy with a maximum temperature around 31 degrees Celsius to 33 degrees Celsius and a minimum near 23 degrees Celsius to 24 degrees Celsius. Expect medium 40%, chances of brief showers, primarily favoring hilly and western areas of Trinidad. Regional details: Trinidad, generally fair conditions interrupted by brief, partly cloudy spells and showers. There is a medium 40% chance of afternoon showers, particularly in hilly and western areas. Tobago, expected to be hot and sunny with occasional partly cloudy spells and localized showers during the afternoon. Marine conditions, seas are forecast to be slight to moderate, with open water waves ranging from 1.0 meters to 1.5 meters and sheltered areas remaining between 0.5 meters to 1.0 meters. Sun and hazards, the UV index is very high at 10, so protection is recommended. A mild to moderate concentration of Saharan dust may be present in the atmosphere.
Regional news now. In a decisive move to bolster national food security, Guyana's President Dr. Irfan Ali announced a $3 billion direct cash injection for the rice industry during a high-level consultation at the Arthur Chung Conference Center on April 30, 2026. I hope our Prime Minister is taking note. Now, I know we are in recovery mode right now. Guyana is not. Guyana is enjoying a time of prosperity. So I know the Prime Minister cannot just invest billions of dollars, millions of dollars in Guyanese dollars, of course, but it's still a lot of money. Can't invest as much money into the agricultural sector in Trinidad and Tobago, but we need to do that as soon as possible, though, especially after we reopen the actual backbone of our economy, which is Petrochin. This strategic intervention targets the rising operational costs and market volatility currently squeezing agricultural margins, offering tiered assistance of $15,000 per acre for small-scale farmers holding 50 acres or less, and $10,000 per acre for larger operations. By bypassing traditional intermediary channels and delivering funds directly to the growers, the administration aims to provide immediate liquidity while simultaneously advancing long-term infrastructure goals, such as enhanced drying facilities to ensure the global competitiveness of Guyana's rice sector. They can be able to tell in here. You want to talk about food? Yes, yam is important as well, and I have nothing against yam. But rice is also important. Everyone eats rice. Contrary to what the PNM patriots try to make it sound as though only East Indians eat rice. Africans love rice as well. We all love rice. It's wonderful. It's a main part of our diet in the Caribbean. And therefore, Guyana can assist in providing that important food product to the entire region. Amid rising fuel costs triggered by international conflict, the Fair Trading Commission in Jamaica has launched a formal investigation into potential anti-competitive practices within the petroleum sector as of May 1st, 2025. Triggered by persistent complaints from the Jamaica Gasoline Retailers Association, the inquiry centers on allegations of discriminatory conduct, restrictive contract arrangements, that's all like PNM eat a food kind of thing, boy, and unfair pricing terms imposed by major marketing companies, like how the big tech and the giants in America. And that's what Trump is trying to even the field, even in America, when it pertains to those things. The regulator is currently assessing whether these dominant players are abusing their market position to the detriment of smaller gas station operators and consumers, particularly as global oil price volatility puts unprecedented pressure on local pump prices. This intervention marks a critical step in safeguarding the commercial viability of local retailers and ensuring that the recent removal of the $4.50 government fuel cap does not lead to predatory pricing or market manipulation in Jamaica. And of course, that means that shows that the government is intervening on behalf of the small man, the small businessmen and women. Therefore, of course, the citizens of Jamaica. And Joel, I'm telling you, he has his imperfections, but he's doing quite well as a prime minister. In a significant reversal for the new Democratic Party administration, Prime Minister Dr. Godwin Friday has withdrawn two controversial pieces of legislation intended to amend the Representation of the People Act and the National Constitution, as in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The decision announced during a parliamentary session on April 21st, 2026, followed intense political backlash and accusations from the opposition, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, that the amendments were a dastardly attempt to retroactively protect government officials. I have a feeling probably it has something pertaining to the lawsuit that is still ongoing right now. I don't know. But the thing about it is the ruling would have been pertaining to the laws before this amendment anyhow, including the Prime Minister himself. So I think I am on the right track in my assumption. From legal challenges regarding, dual citizenship. So I was right. While Prime Minister Friday maintained that the bills were originally tabled to bring clarity to the legal definition of foreign power and reduce public anxiety, he has now deferred the matter to a select committee of Parliament to facilitate broader public debate and feedback before any further legislation action is taken. I want justice for Dr. Godwin Friday. He isn't a Kamala Prasad recessor. He isn't standing up for democracy and with America the way I would like him to. But he's governing his country good, and we are seeing that the PNM friends in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are trying to bring this man's government down. And I hope that the ruling is in his favor very soon. I'm hoping that is very soon. Residents of St. Thomas, Barbados, and neighboring communities are set to regain vital healthcare access as the St. Thomas Outpatient Clinic officially prepares to reopen its doors next week following a period of closure. The restoration of these medical services marks a significant relief for the parish, eliminating the need for long-distance travel to alternative facilities and easing the burden on regional hospitals by providing localized care for non-emergency conditions and routine follow-ups. The reopened clinic will function as a critical primary care hub, ensuring that essential health screenings and treatments are once again readily accessible to the district's most underserved populations. And this is yet another example. Prime Minister Mia Mottley appears to be doing quite well, performing quite well as a prime minister and the leader in her country of Barbados. But she's failing when it pertains to standing up for democracy and Western civilization values in our region. She's failing to stand up with our Prime Minister Kamala Prasad for the right things, and instead sending a bad message by aligning herself closely with the Venezuelan Delcy Rodriguez communist regime and not condemning the interim president of Venezuela for wearing a brooch that shows that Venezuela claims the Essequibo, about 1/3 of Guyana, as their own. Even the Jamaican Gleaner, which is quite leftist leaning, posted an opinionated article yesterday that stated that what Mia Mottley did was wrong. I don't understand what is going wrong with our leaders in the Caribbean and why they continue to stand with communists instead of those that are defending democracy and Western civilization values. I'm telling you, tribalism is destructive. When you continue to believe that the white man is trying to take over the entire world and all kind of utter nonsense, that time has passed. They did already. They had it and they gave it up. They give it back to you. But in your minds, you're still living in the past. That's why most of the islands in the Caribbean will remain third world status. The commissioning of the newly renovated Arthur's Tongue International Airport in Bahamas marks a pivotal milestone in the Davis administration's ambitious Family Islands Airport Renaissance project, a sweeping $260 million initiative targeting over 19 regional hubs. Prime Minister Philip Davis officially unveiled a $9.5 million upgrade on Cat Island just in time for elections, signaling a strategic shift towards decentralizing the Bahamian economy by modernizing critical infrastructure in formerly overlooked districts. By expanding runway capacity and securing direct international flights from Florida, the government aims to bridge the gap between rural islands and global markets. Look at that across there. We have rural areas in Trinidad. They have rural islands. Wow. And global markets positioning Arthurstown as a sustainable gateway for tourism and commerce. This redevelopment paired with local advancements in potable water and healthcare underscores a broader legislative commitment to reversing urban migration and fostering self-sufficiency across the archipelago. So it appears to be that this man was doing quite a good job in his term in office. Let's see what the Bahamians will decide in a matter of a few days again.
From tents and wooden boards to a fully cemented airtight facility.
Airport includes a new terminal building, as you can see, outfitted with ticket counters, the spaces, and a security screening section. There's also a departure area with seating for 52 persons, along with restrooms, concession area, a bank ATM, and parking to accommodate up to 50 vehicles.
Arthurstown residents now equipped with not just the conditions necessary for a more comfortable wait for departures, but a new avenue for revenue generation to the island.
And that's not all, Cat Island. On May 12th, something big is happening across the country, yes, but here in Arthurstown. You will see landing here your first international service every Tuesday and every Thursday. Makers Air will land here directly from Florida.
But with 10 days to the next general election, could the final completion of a move promised over a 34-year reign as Cat Island's representative be seen as an election ploy to secure one last term? Davis refutes such assertions.
And boy, didn't we promise Cat Island all the years. But I told someone the other day when they asked why, I said, well, you know, promises were made, but I had to ask, get them fulfilled. But I now got the pen. We've had over 90 meetings weekly, every other week, to keep this project focused and on track.
And those sentiments have been backed by Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Aviation, Tourism and Investments, Chester Cooper.
Our administration has delivered new terminals, as you have already heard, in Ragged Island, Great Harbour Key, Maguana, and now right here in Arthurstown, with many, many more to come. And when the history of this period is written, Prime Minister, this Family Island Renaissance program will stand as one of the great legacies of your administration.
And in a few weeks, the new Bight Airport is expected to follow.
This is what it looks like from the land side, including solar parking. So Cat Island is leading the way now for sustainable airport projects in the entire region.
Janelle Longley, Eyewitness News.
International news now. President Trump has announced that starting July 1st, 2026, Medicare beneficiaries will gain access to popular GLP-1 weight loss medications for a fixed $50 monthly copay. That sounds great. This initiative is anchored by historic negotiations with pharmaceutical leaders Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, which reduced the government's acquisition cost to roughly $245 per month, a steep discount from the standard $1,300 list price. That is really significantly different. To bypass traditional insurance delays, the administration is launching the Medicare GLP-1 Bridge program alongside the TrumpRx.gov portal, utilizing a market-driven, most favored nation pricing model. You know, some conservatives talk about government intervention. Well, this is government intervention, but for something that is right. I'm telling you, capitalism is wonderful, but you need to have some type of government control as well as a socialism, people. It's common sense. By prioritizing direct access for seniors and obesity-related conditions, the policy aims to improve long-term public health outcomes while reducing the fiscal burden on the American taxpayer.
Today, I'm thrilled to announce that starting on July 1st, we will also provide Medicare patients with the coverage for weight loss drugs like Ozempic, Zepbound, Wegovy. It will be available for $50 a month. $50. Wow.
The Pentagon announced the withdrawal of 5,000 troops from Germany, which will bring the U.S. military presence in Europe back to numbers before the war in Ukraine. Additionally, the deployment of another artillery unit that Biden ordered to be sent in 2024 was cancelled. I hope Trump continues in this direction, pull them out from all those other woke, far-left, radical nations like Italy and Spain as well. They don't want you to fight and stand up for democracy and Western civilization. They don't want to help you either, but they want to use you to protect them. No. Send your people back to America where they can spend time with their families.
Welcome to Real Conservative News Travel Adventures. The Okapi Wildlife Reserve, located in the majestic Ituri Forest of the Northeastern Democratic Republic of Congo, is a vast sanctuary dedicated to preserving one of the world's most elusive and beautiful creatures, the okapi. Spanning nearly 14,000 square kilometers, this UNESCO World Heritage Site protects a significant portion of the Ituri rainforest. The reserve is a dense, emerald wilderness defined by towering ancient trees, winding rivers, and a quiet, mysterious atmosphere that feels untouched by the modern world. The crown jewel of the reserve is the okapi, often called the forest giraffe, which is endemic to these Congolese forests. With its velvet-like chocolate coat and zebra-striped hindquarters, the okapi serves as a symbol of the region's unique natural heritage. Beyond these gentle animals, the reserve is home to a staggering variety of wildlife, including forest elephants, chimpanzees, and over 300 species of birds. It is also the ancestral home of the indigenous Mbuti and Fa pygmies, whose traditional hunter-gatherer lifestyle remains deeply intertwined with the forest ecosystem. A journey to the Okapi Wildlife Reserve is an expedition for the truly adventurous. The central hub is the Epialou Station, where the Okapi Conservation Project operates. Here, visitors can learn about specialized breeding programs and conservation efforts aimed at protecting the forest from illegal mining and poaching. Travelers can engage in guided forest walks with Mbuti hunters to learn about traditional medicinal plants and tracking techniques. While the remote location and rugged conditions present challenges, the reward is an unparalleled encounter with a hidden world of extraordinary beauty and cultural depth. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you again tomorrow as our journey around the world continues. Interesting facts and inspirational true stories. Starting February 18, 2027, smartphones sold across Europe must feature batteries that users can replace at home using basic tools. Brands will also need to keep replacement batteries available for at least 5 years after a model stops selling, while software blocks against third-party repairs will be banned. Tech giants like Apple, Samsung, and Xiaomi may need to redesign glued-shut phones. For Americans, this could pressure companies to bring easier battery repairs and longer-lasting phones to the U.S. market too. To those who are suggesting that the companies leave Europe, yes, Europe is woke and leftist-leaning, but what's so wrong in ensuring that customers get value for their money? Phones are already so expensive, and then it also costs a lot to pay someone to replace the battery, which doesn't even last long either. When I was a child in the 80s and before I was born, products were far more durable compared to the crap they're robbing people with nowadays. Historical facts for those who still hate the white man and want to take all the credit for the abolition of slavery. The abolition of the slave trade was the result of a powerful pincer movement that combined the fierce resistance of enslaved Africans with a massive grassroots mobilization within Britain itself. While revolts in the colonies, such as the Haitian Revolution and major uprisings in Jamaica and Barbados, made the system increasingly dangerous and expensive to maintain, it was the shift in British domestic sentiment that provided the political kill group. White abolitionists like Thomas Clarkson and William Wilberforce organized one of history's first modern human rights campaigns, using petitions signed by hundreds of thousands and nationwide boycotts of slave-grown sugar to transform the trade into a national sin. This internal pressure forced the British government to view the system as morally and politically indefensible, regardless of its previous profitability. Simultaneously, this domestic moral crusade was reinforced by changing economic and strategic interests during the Industrial Revolution. As the British economy shifted toward free trade and manufacturing, the Royal Navy was deployed as an instrument of moral and maritime hegemony. Through the West Africa Squadron, Britain committed significant financial resources and naval power to suppress the trade on the high seas, often at a high cost in sailors' lives. By enforcing international treaties and seizing slave ships, the British effectively leveled the economic playing field against global rivals who still relied on enslaved labor. Ultimately, the end of the trade was achieved through this unique convergence, the courage of those who resisted from within the system and the relentless pressure of a British public that demanded its own empire be the one to dismantle it. Bible quote of the day. Psalm 136:20-26. And Og king of Bashan, his love endures forever. And gave their land as an inheritance, his love endures forever. An inheritance to his servant Israel, his love endures forever. He remembered us in our low estate, his love endures forever. And freed us from our enemies, his love endures forever. He gives food to every creature, his love endures forever. Give thanks to the God of heaven, his love endures forever.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe, most of all. In Jesus' name.